So meditation is not a simple process of trying to just understand you or understand a part of you. That's why meditation is not an intervention. Meditation doesn't start with, okay, tell me what is your problem. I'm going to try and figure out a solution for it. Meditation never works that way. It is a way of understanding the fundamentals of life itself. That's when I realized, okay, this is something else altogether. First few months, for about, I would say, 3 to 4 months, it was just the mind. As in observing the thoughts, source of anger, source of fear, source of frustration, and this organism that is reacting to all that. This was the constant part of my meditation. But after 3 to 4 months, meditation shifted to the body, not the mind, to the body. That's when everything changes. Once meditation shifts to your body, then you realize that you can actually step away from thoughts by being with the body. And that's where our biggest problem is. We are never aligned in our mind and body. Our bodies are here, but our mind is somewhere else. Most of the time, the mind wants to race. It wants to do something. And your mind has no limitations. Because it is in a space, it is in a structure where it has no physical limitations. So it can immediately imagine, okay, I want to tackle this challenge. I want to do this. But your body says, hello, look at me. I mean, do you think I can do it? Your body is always trying to catch up with the mind. Because mind has no boundaries, it has no restrictions, it can imagine whatever it wants to imagine. And body is absolutely bound to the time and space. So our entire life is a struggle to catch up with our mind. So there's nobody else that we are chasing. There's no objective outside that we are chasing. It is the very nature of our mind. Because the mind wants to move because it does not have any boundaries. The body has to somehow follow the mind because it still doesn't know its own reality. That's where meditation comes in. Before meditation, our bodies are simply slaves of our mind. No matter how much we try to control the body, eventually the mind will always win. That's why it is so difficult to pick up any new habit. Let's say, for example, gymming. We've taken this example. Let's say you decide one day that I want to go to the gym regularly, every day. I want to work out, I want to become fit and everything. Everybody who has said this knows how difficult it is to follow up on that. Now, if our bodies and if our mind is simply listening to us, then it's not at all difficult. We can just give the mind the instructions. Okay, follow this for the next 1 week or 2 weeks. It should just follow. It never follows because it still wants to do what it wants to do. This is where the whole conflict is. Now, the question is, if we cannot give even such a simple instruction, okay, do this tomorrow or do this day after tomorrow, then who is in control? Becomes the big question. Are you in control of your mind, or is your mind in control of you? Meditation is a way of moving from the mind to the self. The self is totally different reality. Self is not a part of your thoughts. Self is the being part in the human being. So we have two dimensions to our reality. Unlike any other animal, which just has one word, we call it a tiger or a monkey or a buffalo. Why is it that we say, a human being? Because there is a fundamental difference between us and animals, because we have two completely different realities that we are aware of, that we are familiar with. The human part of it is our mind. Everything that we can imagine, that we can create, falls under the human part. But the being is who we really are. It's just a pure being. That being has no name, no form. It has no identity, nothing. You know, it leaves the entire mind and the body in the middle of the night. It stays somewhere else and it comes back. The being is completely different. Meditation is a way of moving from the human part of our mind towards the being. Because only in that being can we find that rest that we are seeking. Can we find that peace of mind? Can we find that relaxation? As long as we are stuck in the human part, as long as we are stuck in our mind, there will always be disturbance, there will always be pain, because that's the very nature of the mind. The nature of the mind is to swing from one end to the other. It's the very nature. I mean, it's like we don't realize this. The happiness that we experience is the source of the pain, as far as the mind is concerned. And similarly, the pain that we are experiencing becomes the source of our happiness. That's why I say the net effect of all happiness and suffering that we experience in life is always a zero. If you subtract one from the other, every individual experiences just about the same amount of happiness and same amount of sadness throughout their life, because they're not even in control of the mind. So if they were in control, then they could have made some adjustments to say, okay, I want to be more happy than sad. But since mind is an unconscious process, it is a happening. Mind is not a doing. None of us can do the mind. It's a happening and we can only observe it. We can only watch it. So when there is pain, we observe it and say, I'm in pain. When it is happy, we say, I'm happy. But the I is not at all involved in the process of the mind. Mind is like an independent stream that is flowing from one end to another. It has its own character, it has its own way of doing things. Once in a while, we become aware of this process and start asking questions. Oh, why am I sad? Why am I happy? Or why are all these things happening in my life? Once in a while, we question, but rest of the time, we just allow the mind to function the way it wants to function.